so let's start off with a little quick background on personal branding and what exactly that means. And I thought this was a really good quote. So it's the practice of marketing yourself and your career, and it involves defining and consistently, a really important word here, consistently communicating a unique value prop that sets you apart, right? So this is just like corporate branding, and we'll look at an example of that in a second, but this is built on top of your values, your skills, your experiences.
So perfect. My stand will be coming out as well.
We fixed that.
So let's take a look at corporate branding as an example, right? We're very familiar with that. We're in the insights industry. We deal with this all the time. So I just picked a popular consumer brand, Coca-Cola. Didn't really matter what, but just to kind of give you a sense of how corporate branding and personal branding may align at different points. So Coca-Cola, its vision is to craft the brands and choice of drinks that people love. Well, I can go and I can create my own vision too. So for me, I want to be recognized as an expert in the insights industry, but that's going to be different for everyone, right? Coke's audience would be all global consumers or any market that they sell into, which is pretty much in all markets. For me, it's all about business professionals. And so I speak to folks who are in the insights industry, right? MRxPros, but then also the healthcare industry where we have our clients. And then we can also have our core messages. So Coke came out with a new tagline a couple of years ago. They call this real magic. It highlights that connection that you get when you're enjoying a drink with friends, right? Well, for me, I guess my message is my headline on LinkedIn. So I just updated this recently. Insight realist and AI idealist. So maybe that gives you a quick view into what I think about, what I care about, and who I am. So again, you can kind of look at this from different perspectives, but if you're already familiar with corporate branding, hopefully this will be somewhat familiar to you to bring that into your personal world as well. So my first LinkedIn post was 10 years ago. Mostly I was sharing things from KJT, blogs and job postings and so forth. Probably what a lot of folks do. There was nothing personal about it. And so that's where I was for many, many years. And about a year and a half ago, KJT actually signed up for a formal social selling training. And I was a late add to it. I'm not the person who's going and selling all of our research to our clients. So I was just kind of thrown into the mix, but that really ended up being the crux of a lot of what I'm doing today. It kind of was that push in the right direction. So my first post that I made as part of this, learning new techniques, right, branching out, creating this branding for myself. My first post was a picture of my oldest son eating a donut at a playground wearing a KJT hat. This was just a picture that I took one weekend, and I kind of thought it was neat that my son really wanted to wear my hat. And so I made a post about it. I tagged the guy who made the logo for us. And so kind of gave him a little bit of praise. I thought, wow, that logo is really cool. Even my son wants to wear it. And people really liked it. So I got a little bit of that positive affirmation, right? The chemicals are going in the right place in my brain. And so from there, I got a little more serious, of course, but I started delving into posting articles about market research, about healthcare, writing some posts about leadership. And I used that as an opportunity to figure out, what was my voice, what worked well for me and what maybe didn't work as well for me. So as Sue highlighted, I spent a lot of time building out our generative AI practice internally, and I realized, well, LinkedIn is a really great place to share ideas. And so I've been posting a lot about that in addition to some other random topics, but my top AI post, it's had 70,000 impressions and 250 engagements, which is not typical, I will say. But why I wanted to highlight that was I didn't even really create the content. I just curated the content. I think this is also a misnomer about what LinkedIn is used for and what the use of it is. I was just reading a journal article about generative AI, and I found an incredible list of great techniques for prompt engineering. And so I just took a screenshot from that article. I pasted that. I added a little bit of my own context into the post itself. I gave credit to the study authors as well, of course, but everybody loved it, right? They just kind of ate it up. And so to me, that's just an example of, again, different ways of approaching how do I get content out there. It doesn't just have to be you doing everything yourself, right? And so then recently, I earned this cool badge. This sounds way cooler than it is, I promise, as being this top market research voice. There is a spot on LinkedIn for something called collaborative articles. And basically it's a spot where LinkedIn poses a bunch of questions. It's a spot to go basically give people advice. And if you post enough in there and enough other people like what you have posted, then the top 5% ends up getting tagged as a top market research voice, top AI voice, top leadership voice, whatever that might be in the area that you're posting in. So I just took a few weeks. I was just throwing in different ideas, and I guess enough people liked it. There aren't that many people who post in that area. So I ended up getting my badge. It was kind of cool, but I'm sure it'll go away at some point, and that'll be fine too. But all right, so that's a little bit of my journey, but what have been some of the outcomes, right? Like what are some of the things that you can get being a little more proactive on LinkedIn? So no particular order here, but number one, I just got a bigger network. So in the past year or so, I've gained about 1,800 followers. Some of you have bigger networks than me, right? And in some ways, I'm still in the beginning of my journey. But more important than that, second here is that I've gotten some genuine networking opportunities. I've met some wonderful people. We've bounced ideas off of each other. We've collaborated on AI. We've explored even some joint partnerships, creating connections for folks that, well, I know this person, and so I make an introduction. But these are folks who I have a legitimate personal connection with now. Third thing here is I've also found some opportunities. If you go back to that vision statement that I had, right? I wanted to be seen as some sort of expert in the industry. Well, this has given me an opportunity to do that. So because of some of the things that I've been doing on LinkedIn, I've ended up presenting at conferences. I've been on a couple of podcasts as a guest. I've generated some marketing content with folks who work at other companies. None of that would have happened if I wasn't starting to become a little bit more active on LinkedIn. And then fourth, but not least, we've also gained some new business opportunities, some referrals for employees through some of the LinkedIn work that we've done as a business. So again, just lots of good things have come out of it. It's hard to maybe quantify some of it, but some good mojo for sure. And then my last slide, let me go through 10 tips because I want to leave you with something actionable here before we get into some small group discussions. Number one, make your profile welcoming. This seems maybe obvious, but make it seem like when somebody goes and looks at your profile, like they want to talk to you. So look at your profile picture, look at some of the language that you're using in your profile, make it look like you actually updated sometime in the last year or so. Update your headline. I was very against updating my headline. And then I realized, oh, it's not so bad. I can just go and do it. And it kind of gives people, again, a little bit of a sense of who you are besides just your title and where you work. Number three, there's this thing called creator mode. You can go Google it. Basically, you just enable it. It's in the settings in LinkedIn, and it gives you access to some other features that you otherwise wouldn't have. It's really simple. It's worth it. Tip number four, follow and then connect. So if you find people who are posting interesting things, people who you know, follow them on LinkedIn, connect with them. That's the point of it. Don't just lurk. Number five on here, this is what I describe as my gateway drug. So comment first and then post later. So if you're kind of apprehensive about posting something on LinkedIn, that's fine. Throw some comments on other people's posts, get a little bit more comfortable with that, get some conversation going that way, figure out what works for you or doesn't work, and then you can start posting after that. And then the converse of that, so number six, when you do post, follow up with everybody who has commented on your post and say something. It could be a thank you, great comment, ask them a question back, but they took time out of their day to go and say something on your post. Go and take time out of your day to do the same for them. Number seven, find some friendlies, folks who you can tag into your posts to go and start the conversation. Number eight, try some different kinds of content. There's carousels, there's videos, linked articles, write your own content, right? Number nine, bring it off of LinkedIn as well, right? It's digital, but you can also have real conversations with people. And number 10, the most important thing out of all of these, be authentic. So if it's not authentic to write posts, okay, how can you use LinkedIn for yourself and it is authentic? Make sure your own profile, it feels authentic to you. That's number one takeaway here for sure. So I wanted to close with that. So with that, for our discussion, I have two questions here. Depending on where you are in your journey, one of these may resonate more than the other. But number one, what have you seen on LinkedIn that's a great example of personal branding? What have you seen as a success? And then number two, if you prefer to answer this one, what's something that maybe you struggle with or something that you want to improve upon in your own LinkedIn journey? So.